Here we go. NC State wearing their home whites, and LSU in the stunning all-purples today, trimmed in just a touch of gold, and here we go. These two teams met back in Thanksgiving, but both teams very different. Rivers, active already, comes up with the steal. Sanaya Rivers, a veteran who started her career at South Carolina, and here's Maddie Hayes, their leading rebounder and a great three-point shooter. Let's take a look now at our starting lineups, brought to you by Capital One. flau'jae, Johnson, Williams, and Morrow, the big three. What will Poa and Smith do? Sometimes it's the supplementary players outside of the big three that make such a difference, and there's one of them right there in Samaya Smith. Zoe Brooks, what a season she has had for State. Most improved player in the ACC this year. Johnson slicing in, no foul call, but the follow is good. Smith has a couple of buckets.
And you mentioned Samaya Smith. I mean, this is a player who has averaged double figures in the NCAA tournament. She has been instrumental in everything that LSU is doing on both ends of the floor.
Zaya James off, and a rebound taken down by Michaela Williams, who won over 1,000 points this year, and this her sophomore season, fires away.
And I got to tell you right away, I don't love the way that NC State is playing the on-ball screens. I know they want to stay connected to Anissa Morrow, but LSU getting where they want, when they want.
Hayes with the miss. LSU, 4 straight year, they were a number 3 seed, including a couple of years ago during their national championship run, and they're letting them play so far. LSU, it is now Samaya Smith 6 and NC State 3.
Well, Samaya Smith was 9 for 9 in that second round matchup from the floor against Florida State. And if they're going to heavy help on Anissa Morrow, Smith has to find the open areas, and she's done that early.
Smith coming in very confident. Kim Mulkey talking about the redshirt sophomore. Michaela Williams, nice mid-range.
It's smooth. She's got the size, the ability to shoot over Zoe Brooks. And Kim Mulkey told us that she has one of the best mid-range jumpers that she's ever seen, and she's coached a lot of great players.
Yeah, including one of them on her bench right now, in Simone Augustus. Rivers misses, and Trieger could not come up with it. Poa does not have numbers, so she's going to wait and then take it in by herself. Brooks got a hand on the ball.
Well, Samaya Smith is open because of the heavy help by Trieger on the interior, knocking it down. And Michaela Williams, a great job. She can pull that three. She's been hot from there, but uses that size, gets to her sweet spot, pulls up over Zoe Brooks.
And Michaela Williams has not missed a 3 in the NCAA tournament. Hit all 3 against Florida State and all 3 in their first round win against San Diego State. And there's Morrow, and finally we have our first whistle. Chuck Gonzalez, Bill Lawrence, and Teresa Stuck, our officials this evening. And Madison Hayes gets the foul. NC State does a great job of defending without fouling. They have had nobody foul out this year.
They do. They're a team that has been incredibly disciplined. That has been a staple of Wes Moore's teams and their defensive philosophy. But you cannot allow Williams that much time or space.
And the true jump shot, great elevation.
And good execution, setting screens on the out of bounds, making sure you get to your spots.
Williams, the first person not named Smith to score for LSU tonight. James got herself a little bit of space. NC State has not looked inside yet. One of the differences from when they played around Thanksgiving is that Tilda Trieger, who only played 5 minutes in that first game, the true freshman from Stockholm, has gone into the starting lineup, so it's a totally different feel.
And this is a team that plays on the perimeter a lot, but I think if you're LSU, these are the shots that you want NC State taking. When NC State is at their best, they're attacking off the bounce, they're forcing rotation, they're getting catch-and-shoot threes, not off-the-bounce threes.
Inbound again by Brooks. James had it blocked by Williams. Now LSU looks to break out. James takes it right back. Brooks against Poa, and another block. Well, the defense showing up early.
How about last year, Poa? She turns it over, gets back in transition, able to save the play with an outstanding one-on-one block.
No pouting for her, as you see the miss by Morrow, who only has 8 made threes on the season. Took that outside shot. Collins. Check that Hayes off.
And if you're NC State, you can't fall in love with the three. Yes, they made 15 in that second round matchup against Michigan State, but they've got to find ways to attack the paint to get some easier looks.
They were 10 for 10 in the first half. And here's LSU's D.
Yeah, just good job of staying vertical, of sending bodies on the interior, and then a one-on-one individual effort by last-tier Poa to save the easy bunny.
We have a developing story here. Madison Hayes has just picked up her second personal foul for the Pack. Talked about how important she is as a leading rebounder. Really, I think sort of the unsung hero on this team, does so many things.
And one of the things that Westmore had talked about is she just doesn't get the credit that she deserves. I mean, again, talking about a player who's come in, who's played so many different positions for this NC State program, but who impacts their ability to win.
Morrow went 1 for 2 from the line, but Williams rescued with the offensive rebound. And that seemed like an impossible angle, but Morrow got it to fall anyway. Morrow, a couple of years at DePaul. It's a 7-0 LSU run. NC State has missed 5 straight shots. The drought is over. It's Hayes.
And that wasn't necessarily a dribble attack, but you can see how LSU is going to play in the gaps, how they're going to send help to the ball handler. So 1 or 2 dribble punch is going to get a wide open look.
Hayes with a couple of threes so far, and a nice dish and the drive to the basket by Smith.
One of the areas that LSU has looked so good offensively in this NCAA tournament is their ability to share the basketball. It has been a team that didn't have a high assist rate coming into the postseason, but have learned to play with one another. And one of the things that flau'jae Johnson noticed when she was out with injury those last few games of the regular season, they needed to move the ball better.
We just talked about how Morrow hasn't taken a lot of threes. She hits that one. Yeah, LSU back-to-back 100-point games in the NCAA tournament. They have never done that before in their storied history. And they have broken out up by 10. They try to go to Trieger, but instead Morrow comes up with it. Williams. Brooks is NC State offense. 3 of 12 from the floor. Rivers a little hesitation and then got it to roll in. Rivers in her senior season.
And you can see they're icing or downing that side pick and roll, and Anissa Morrow gets another 3.
Not on the scouting report that Morrow's going to take a lot of those, but she's hit 2 today.
And how about Morrow knowing and understanding that that is how teams are going to play her. And she steps up with confidence, steps up in rhythm, knocks them down.
Those 2 threes tie a season high. She's got 10 on the year now total. And there's a little bump by Morrow as Morrow picks up her first foul. But LSU on fire, hitting 60% from the floor. Let's take a look now at our player spotlight, brought to you by Hilton Garden Inn. It is flau'jae Johnson.
At just 7 years old, flau'jae showed that she was going to be a world-class rapper, and she is taking the world by storm. One of the most exceptional young women I've ever met. I talked to her as a freshman. She said, I want it all, a #1 hit and a national championship. Well, she's already got the championship. She's put out music with Lil Wayne. She's been featured on stage at the ESPYs, and she just dropped a new single today, March Madness Freestyle from Rock Nation. but more importantly, she has turned into an incredible leader on this team. While she was out with shin inflammation the last several weeks of the regular season, she noticed that her team was good at the big things, hitting home runs, but they were not good at the little things. She has started getting on her teammates, demanding excellence, fixing the small problems that have made them not a great team, and she said they have turned a corner. Her teammates trust her and let her hold them accountable, and I'm telling you, flau'jae is the leader this team needed for March.
It really is incredible, and her schedule, Holly, as you know, she usually gets up at 5 in the morning to start training. We see her on a lot of commercials. She is a very busy young woman, and we got a chance to visit with her yesterday. Very impressive.
And talking to Kim Mulkey, and Kim Mulkey's like, I have no idea where she is, but basketball is first in basketball season. She shows up at practice. She does her job. She's able to do it all so well. She's incredibly disciplined.
NC State has gone to Lorena Oru, a freshman post, to try to stop LSU, but nobody was there to stop Morrow. And then she takes the ball away. She's hit a couple of threes, took the ball away, and was unable to get it home. NC State getting hammered on the boards right now. Rebounded 14-7.
And you see she's walking around, not really in a rhythm offensively. LSU putting a lot of pressure on them, forcing them to play one-on-one. That's a good drop-off, but a great play by Smith.
Sanaya Smith, who has damaged them on the offensive end with 8 points, pardon me. Playing some great defense. Cheyenne Day Wilson in the ball game. Was at Miami last year and Duke before that. Missed wide left. Not great shooting percentage for Day Wilson this season.
She's one of those that can get hot, though. Speaking of getting hot, that is exactly what NC State needs. They need Isaiah James to find herself on the offensive end.
And Isaiah James last year averaged over 20 points per game on their NCAA run. Final Four run, I should say. And has been just as hot so far in this tournament. Williams, short. LSU seems to be getting at all the 50-50 balls. So we have a minute to go now in this first quarter. Williams, that was nice.
Yeah, that's a great move. Able to split the defenders. Zoe Brooks was kind of in a gray area, no man's land. She didn't help, and she wasn't out guarding her man.
Lots of contact, pardon me, no foul, it's LSU ball.
One of the things that allowed NC State to be so successful against Michigan State was how they established themselves on the defensive end of the floor. Their activity level, their awareness, right, looking very sluggish on both ends of the floor right now, but particularly on the defensive end.
And we've seen some frustration out there as well. They beat Michigan State handily 83-49. Largest margin of victory ever in their postseason history. Different story this afternoon or this evening now in Spokane. Kaylin Gilbert. And there is a call that gives the ball back to the Pack.
Jersey Wolfenbarger is going to be called. She's setting that screen and rolls down on top of Sanaya Rivers as she tries to get underneath.
First foul for Wolfenbarger, who is an Arkansas transfer, Arkansas native. Shot clock is off for the Pack. Trying to end this quarter on somewhat of a positive note. James got hit. And Isaiah will go to the free throw line. They will be NC State's first foul shots of the game. Ola picked up the foul. Williams coming back in for LSU in the waning seconds. Get some offense after the free throws by James. First team all-conference, has made some honorable mention All-American teams. Really a study in perseverance. And she only averaged about 5 minutes a game early on in her career. On them both.
Number 3, Jada Richard.
Jada Richard, the freshman Guard comes in as NC State puts on some full court pressure. Rivers took it away. Takes it right to Williams, couldn't score. They don't get a chance for the follow before the buzzer sounds. Isaiah James is limping, favoring her right foot as she goes off the court. LSU, a very good first quarter, up 23-15. We will be speaking with Kim Mulkey when we come back. We are back in Spokane, Washington. LSU leads after 1 quarter of play. Tonight's coach's interview is brought to you by Symetra. Here's Holly with Kim Mulkey.
Coach Mulkey, early in the game, they're paying so much attention to Anissa Morrow, and Samaya goes off, and then Anissa starts hitting threes. How have your team adjusted quickly?
Well, we've been doing that the last 2 games. Go double Morrow. We'll find somebody else that'll shoot it. We're playing with a lot of confidence. Now, we didn't handle it right there. We didn't handle the last shot of the half, of the quarter right there, and I subbed early, trying to make sure that we don't get too winded. It's a long game.
It's a long way from Baton Rouge, but your team has come out with a lot of energy, getting to a lot of rebounds and 50-50 balls. What do you see there?
Well, that's what we do. We play hard. I think we got experience now. Don't overexert yourself, but play hard. We got to play 4 quarters against a team that made it to the Final Four against the 2 seed in this tournament.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Well, certainly one of the concerns for Westmore was keeping them off the offensive glass, and 9 points off of second chance points. He said we've got to take away the easy ones. We can't let them get out in transition. We can't let them score off of offensive rebounds. And so far, LSU having their way.
Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe joining you. First of 2 Sweet 16 games here in Spokane tonight. Ole Miss and UCLA with Lauren Betts, Kiki Rice. A lot of talent coming up after this game, but boy, flau'jae Johnson and LSU, a very impressive first quarter. You see the adjustments that Westmore always says. He has plan A and then plan B, C, probably through Z. James attacking the basket, draws another foul.
And NC State's going to have to do more of this. They're going to have to. They're so good at attacking one-on-one, of creating shots, for themselves and for one another. But they've got to find a way to get the ball in the paint to force a defensive rotation.
Owen just picked up her second foul, and here's James at the free throw line where she is 2 for 2. NC State took 10 threes in the first quarter, only hit 3 of them, coming off a spectacular shooting game against Michigan State in the second round back home in Raleigh. And now we have one of the officials heading over to the scorer's table.
They said they had blood on the floor.
Yep, so they will be taking care of that before James takes the free throws. We remind you that coverage of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship continues tonight on CBS and CBS. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. Great time of the year. Both the men's and the women's tournaments underway. Major League Baseball has started. NBA, NHL winding down. But this is the best right here.
This is absolutely the best. What are you talking about? NCAA tournament, March Madness.
It's Anissa Morrow over there directing the mop person. And this is our bracket. The winner of this game will take on the winner of our nightcap between UCLA and Ole Miss. And then tomorrow, the other 4 teams play. 2 regions, Spokane and Birmingham. And South Carolina, the defending champs, barely escaped the Maryland Terrapins earlier today.
Right there, Isaiah James turns around to Zamaria Jones, and she said, they are going at you. She's telling her right away, be prepared to beat up.
And Zan Jones is number 3 in white, just into the game. A true freshman. Got some of the leadership from James to tell her just to be ready. Williams with the miss. Maddie Cox is in the game. Usually doesn't get a lot of playing time. And she comes in, so a couple of posts in now with Trigger and Cox. NC State, some of the best guards in the country, veteran guards. Rivers somehow was able to keep it going and get the basket. NC State, who has been down by as many as 11, now back down by 6. It's Morrow. Oh, already into double figures. She has 11 points and 6 rebounds. Another double-double on the way.
Well, when you have a two-man game with Michaela Williams and Anissa Morrow, Williams has great size to be able to score or to be able to facilitate over the defender, but in transition, right here, Sanaya Rivers, good job of giving it up, getting it back, and corralling that. That was a tough one to handle.
Jay Wilson back in the game. flau'jae with the miss. And the ball stays with LSU. They'll have 20 seconds to shoot. flau'jae Johnson has not scored yet in this game. Their leading scorer on the season at just under 19 points per game. Morrow, turnaround. Rebound taken down by Cox. Rivers to Zam Jones. Nailed it.
That's what Zam Jones can do. She can be instant offense. She was 5 of 9 from the floor against Michigan State on Monday night. She had 12 points. She's been in and out of the lineup, had some injuries late December into January, is working her way back. But this is exactly what she's in the ball game to do. Stretch the defense. She comes in with a ton of confidence on the offensive end, knocks down a big one.
Those 12 points you mentioned against Michigan State in the second round came in just 12 minutes. Hit a couple of threes as well. This is a 9-2 run for State going back to the first quarter. Cox with some good defense on Morrow. That's why she was put in to try to help down low. How about some confidence for the true freshman?
The confidence, the fire, you see it in her face right now. Instant offense.
Zam Jones with a couple of threes. Morrow with that determined look on her face. Scores again.
And I like the move by Westmore because he wasn't getting a lot from Zoe Brooks early in this ballgame. Bring in Zam Jones, give yourself a little punch from the bench. They're just coming down in transition. No, not a lot of pressure on the ball. Williams tries to get over the screen. Zam Jones knocks it down. And look at her talking about it. I love it.
Looking over to the bench, energized. Kid from Greenville, North Carolina, about an hour 15 away from campus. And she did not score in the previous 2 games before breaking out against Michigan State.
And this is what you need. You've got to get a little bit of juice from your bench. You got to know that you're going to get a punch. Someone to step up.
Morrow given a little bit of room. Nobody but white jerseys underneath. Here's Rivers. And NC State down by double digits in the first quarter. Can tie or take the lead?
I don't like that shot by Sanaya Rivers. I don't think anybody can stop Sanaya Rivers one-on-one. Use that screen, create an opportunity at the rim or to get an open look.
LSU takes advantage with Smith.
And that's typically what happens. When you have a bad shot or you have a turnover, teams are able to get layups on the other end.
Smith coming off a season-high 20 points against Florida State. Off to a great start here tonight. Jones, who has a couple of threes, guarded by Williams. Trigger comes out.
And a lot of standing on the other side of the floor for NC State.
You don't like stagnant offense. Keep it moving. flau'jae charge. Let's go over to Holly Rowe, who has more on Zam, the freshman for State.
Well, Zam knows how to put the pieces together. This is what she did on their long flight from Raleigh. This is a complicated Lego set. She's been doing this all season long. This is something she loves to do. She's watching TV, putting the pieces together. Look at this. It's like a little boom box, mini boom box on the go. She said it takes her mind off of stress, helps pass time quickly, and she loves solving puzzles, finding space, kind of what she's doing out here with back-to-back threes.
Yeah, she absolutely is. And I love that she had the Lego set, the cookies on one side, the movie on the other side.
She had it all.
Multitasking.
It's a long trip from Raleigh to Spokane.
Sure is.
And here she is. cupping out. LSU up 4 with Dave Wilson. James guarding Johnson. A couple of really good basketball players right there. And flau'jae gets her own miss. Good defense by Cox to stop her on the baseline. Oh, Williams, nope. Alrighty, Cox with 3 rebounds since coming into the game. And then the long-range jumper, and Sam Jones looks over to the crowd again.
Hey, and a great job by NC State to find her. She's hot right now. Make sure you have an eye on where she is in transition. If you're LSU, I don't know how you don't know where she is on the floor. You got to communicate that in transition defense.
Yeah, she has been terrific since she stepped on the floor. Johnson fumbled it, was able to get it back. And then the defense by Zoe Brooks got a hand on the ball. She doesn't have numbers, but she's got Zam Jones for the 2.
Oftentimes, when you talk about scouting reports at this time of the year, it's focused on your primary offensive threats. To get offense from other people like Zam Jones, like Caitlin Gilbert is so important to advance at this point in the year.
Gilbert, who had 16 points against NC State in the regular season, hits that bucket. And right now, we are on a Zam Jones run. NC State has scored the last 11 points, all of them from Zam, until Trigger broke that string.
Even though Zoe Brooks didn't make that shot, I like the attack. It forces the help rotation. That opens up the offensive rebound by Trigger.
Trigger, the freshman, getting more and more minutes as the season has gone along. Cox gets another rebound. Looking a little winded, just crossing midcourt. Trigger, she'll take that shot. Nobody underneath. In white. Gilbert, first year at LSU after leaving Arizona. And then taken away by Jones. Pass on the money to Isaiah James, but that's incredible hustle by Dave Wilson.
Yeah, Isaiah James could not see Dave Wilson behind her. That's one Zoe Brooks has to see.
Dave Wilson going to set things up. Johnson, nice little hesitation, but a little bit too strong. It's a 3-on-2. But Brooks had Jones over on the perimeter, but took it herself.
And Zoe Brooks has to get going. I mean, she is so important to what NC State does on the offensive end of the floor.
She had missed her first 3 shots before that basket. Gilbert ties it up.
Gilbert for 3.
Gilbert with some punch off the bench. Williams lost it. 2-on-3, and James going to take it to the basket. And she's going to get back to the free throw line yet again. We are all tied up in Spokane. Thank you very much. And look who's in the building. It's Ole Miss getting ready to take on the #1 overall seed, UCLA. Madison Scott there on the right. Terrific veteran who really took a chance with that program. And they were just starting to rebuild with Coach Yo, so we look forward to that. James at the line. Got 1 out of 2. And they were talking in the studio. You heard Elle and company. It was an 11-point lead for NC State. And that last time out, Kim Mulkey was not particularly happy with flau'jae Johnson.
No, I don't think Kim Mulkey liked the shot that flau'jae took, and she kind of just threw it up off of the glass. Wants her to be a little bit more disciplined.
She's not in the game right now. Shot clock winding down. Gilbert gets it to Dave Wilson. He's going to have to put it up over James. Bounces to James. As we hit 1.5 minutes to go in the first half. And back in the game. Madison Hayes, who's been out for quite a while with 2 fouls, number 21 on white. There she is. She's a three-point threat. Rivers, there she shows some of that athleticism.
Yeah, she sure does. And I think she's got to be a more important piece of what they're doing on the offensive end. She's got to find ways to attack gaps. She's got to get her teammates the ball and get to the rim. She can be a scorer.
Brooks drew the foul, and Zoe will head to the line. Second one on Anissa Morrow for LSU. Morrow with 13 points and 7 rebounds. Zoe Brooks heads to the line. Morrow with the 2 fouls goes out. And Michaela Williams comes back in. This straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks on ESPN. Go to ncaa.com for more information. Trieger with the offensive rebound. Hayes,
nice pass.
That's what you were talking about.
Yes.
Rivers.
Yeah, I mean, she can impact the game in so many ways. Her off-ball cutting, her ability to attack off the bounce, find her open teammates. I think they need more engagement from her on both ends.
Yeah, such an important component to this player. We've seen flashes of brilliance from her, but then, quite candidly, some periods where she sort of disappears.
Yep. And you look at what happens now. Anissa Morrow's out of the game, so NC State shows some zone. It's much more difficult to rebound when you're playing a zone, so when Morrow's out, gives them an opportunity to give a different look.
And that's Gilbert, who has been terrific off the bench in this game. And you mentioned Morrow, the leading rebounder in the country. 13 and a half rebounds per game, 29 double-doubles, which is 7 more than the second place person in the country. And only Courtney Paris had more in her career.
Courtney Paris was a double-double machine.
Unbelievable. Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to play here tomorrow. First half winding down. Hayes hit with a half a second left by Smith.
What a cut by Madison Hayes. Just when it looked like Sanaya Rivers had no place to go, Madison Hayes gives her a look. She saves her. And if you're Sanaya Smith, just be disciplined. Make Madison Hayes hit a tough shot.
Kim Mulkey not happy with the call. Hayes at the line. One of the better free throw shooters on this team. NC State not a good free throw shooting team overall, but she gets them both. The Wolfpack at one point down by 11, outscore LSU by 12 in the second quarter. Zam, one of the big reasons why. Here's Zam Jones with Holland.
Zam, your number is called. You come in off the bench and you go on an 11-0 run by yourself. How were you ready for that moment?
I'm just ready with my name called. You know, it's a big moment. I'm not trying to go home so I can play my game.
You're a freshman. How are you so comfortable on this stage in this moment?
I'm built for this. I'm a dog. So when a dog name called, you know, a dog come out. So I'm just ready to play.
You guys went on a run there. You finished with the lead. What will it take in the second half?
To keep competing, keep being a dog, going out there playing that game and playing hard.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was a quadruple dog interview from Zam Jones. Shea Moisture halftime report. Janae, Drea, and Elle. And what a first half we had. LSU had an 11-point lead in the first quarter. NC State comes back to take the 4-point lead. Time for Get More, brought to you by Geico. And how about the freshman off the bench?
Yeah, Zam Jones was so important to this NC State team. You see her try to come over the on-ball screen there. Michaela Williams jumps in. Look at how much space she creates to knock down that three. And once she got herself going, boy, she stayed hot. 11 points, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Did a great job of attacking. But this is exactly what NC State needed. They started slow. Zam Jones gave them a lift. And flau'jae Johnson really struggled in that first half. She's going to see multiple bodies every time she puts the ball on the floor. NC State did a good job of defending without fouling, of staying vertical, really frustrating flau'jae and Kim Mulkey at that.
And that's a look at a little exchange in the second quarter. flau'jae Johnson then went to the bench. She was 0 for 5 in the first half. Scoreless in the first half for the very first time this season. And remember, she is their leading scorer, just under 19 points per game. Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe with you for the first of 2 games in the Sweet 16 in Spokane. We have UCLA Ole Miss coming up next. And the ball gets thrown away on the very first possession for the Tigers.
Yeah, and that's going to frustrate Kim Mulkey. You know, coming out of halftime, an unforced turnover. I think LSU at times, we've seen the last 2 games in this tournament that they have been very good at moving the basketball, but they do have a tendency at times to get stagnant. And Zoe Brooks, what a good start. Because Zoe Brooks is somebody who needs to get rolling for the Wolfpack.
A little bit of a slow start in this game, but now she's got 8 points. This is the biggest lead of the evening for the Pack, but that disappears. Nia Smith had 10 points in the first half.
Coming into the NCAA tournament, only 4 games that she scored in double figures, and has scored double figures in every single NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, that's really coming up big. Had a season-ending ACL last year, in the 23-24 season, back in November, coming back from that. Brooks bodied up by Williams. Sanaya Rivers hit the bottom of the net, but only the bottom of the net.
Yeah, I still think an opportunity right there for Rivers to attack a closeout. She's got flau'jae Johnson running out at her.
And a little passive. Day Wilson out there to begin the second half. Kid from Toronto, 0 for 3 in the first half, and Williams with a chance at a 3-point play. Isaiah James pleads her case, but picks up the foul.
Well, NC State trying to keep Michaela Williams going to her left, and you can see just the hand on the elbow as Williams goes up, and that's that strength, that's that frame, that's the ability to finish with a little bit of contact.
Williams with the miss, but it's tipped out by Smith. That's Anissa Morrow doing Anissa Morrow things. She's just an incredible rebounder.
Yeah, I mean, not just her natural instincts, but her will to pursue the ball and not be denied.
Do you think great rebounders are born or made?
I think great rebounders are born. I think that they have an instinct for the ball. I think they have a relentless effort, a motor in them to just pursue.
Brooks with the basket, and Morrow certainly is one of those people who is a relentless pursuer. As you mentioned, there's another turnover.
But when you have somebody who's relentless pursuing the basketball, but also studies. I mean, she studies film. She watches how the ball comes off of the rim. She watches the flight of the ball when her teammates shoot it. When you have that combination of both, then you're talking about generational rebounders.
And an elite athlete, was a great volleyball player as well. In her earlier life, and Holly has more on Morrow.
Well, I'm constantly amazed by her verticality. Everything she does around the rim, she is straight up and down. Well, she told me she gets that from volleyball. She was a terrific middle blocker in high school. And look at that get up off the ground. But not only that, completely vertical so you don't get into the net. She is such a great athlete. We're seeing that here tonight.
Yeah, completely vertical. You don't get into the net in volleyball, and you don't get a foul in basketball.
Yes.
And it was Holly who recognized that and asked Morrow if she was a volleyball player, and the answer was yes. And you can see the similarities with that video. There's a little no-look pass from Johnson. Morrow stuck with it and got fouled.
This is how flau'jae Johnson can get herself going. She can be a facilitator. She knows she's going to attract attention when she comes off of those on-ball screens. You get a team in rotation.
5 of those 9 boards have come on the offensive end. Coming up next right here on ESPN and the app following this game, we have another game for you. And what a game it is. Ole Miss taking on UCLA, the Bruins, who won the Pac-12, the Pac-12, there we go, that's retro. The Big Ten tournament title over USC, the #1 overall seed, taking on an Ole Miss team that kind of likes to muck things up a little bit. That'll be an interesting matchup.
It's going to be a great one.
So just stick with ESPN all night. We have our studio folks in between with all the highlights and analysis. Rivers. There you go. That's what you want to see, but it got taken away.
Yeah, that's good hands by Samaya Smith.
Smith, what a game she has had on both ends of the floor. flau'jae thought about it. Williams into Morrow. One of those moves. The double comes from James, who's playing with 2 fouls. Took a little bit of a risk, but it paid off. And now James with the ball fake and couldn't get the finish. She's pleading for a foul. Johnson finally scores. The first basket comes with about just under 7 minutes left to go in the 3rd quarter. Zoe Brooks trying in the lane this time. And stopping the guard penetration of NC State was one of the things that Kim Mulkey was most centered on coming in.
Yeah, and oftentimes missed layups lead to layups on the other end. It's tough to get back in transition defense. flau'jae Johnson gets herself on the board.
Samaya Smith has just picked up her 2nd foul for LSU. And here's Brooks at the line. Brooks last year made the all-freshman team in the ACC and was the most improved and a first-teamer this year, and playing without either goggles or contact lenses. She has no eyesight improvements on her face. She sees enough to be really good.
Yeah, she's learned how to be a better facilitator for this NC State team. She is a scoring guard. I mean, that is what's on her mind. And she learned how to be a great facilitator, understanding the time and score, understanding the pace with which she needs to play. And NC State liked what that zone gave them in that first half, going back to it. Now you got to be diligent about boxing out because rebounding is tough.
Now, Williams is such a good rebounding guard. Gets herself a little bit better look at it. And the foul on Trieger. Trieger picks up her first. The freshman from Stockholm, just 2 points so far, has 4 rebounds, and she heads to the bench. NC State only had 2 fouls in the first half, both of them on Madison Hayes. Morrow with the spin, the basket, and the foul.
It's too difficult of a matchup for Madison Hayes to play behind Anissa Morrow. I mean, you got to have better ball pressure right here. You see Sanaya Rivers with no ball pressure, so she doesn't take any pressure off of her teammate. Madison Hayes is behind, and Anissa Morrow goes to work.
1 rebound away from what would be her 30th double-double of the season. Chicago native who stayed home to play at DePaul for a couple of years. Tremendous there. Came to LSU, and she told us the only thing missing on my resume is that natty. Does not have the national championship. This is her 2nd year. LSU up by 4. Already scoring as many points in this 3rd quarter as they did in the 2nd. Samaya Smith with the block. Johnson found a little bit of daylight. Another offensive rebound, another double-double for Morrow. She blows a kiss to the LSU fans.
Hey, that's just toughness right there. NC State, everybody hoping the ball comes to them and drops into their hands, but Anissa Morrow pursues it.
Morrow by herself outscoring NC State in this quarter, 9-5. That's a big 3 by Maddie Cox, who only has 5 made field goals all season. Timeout. That's 2 years ago when LSU won its national championship. And that leads us to tonight's Need to Know, brought to you by Intuit QuickBooks. And that is that Kim Mulkey is the only person, man or woman, with a national championship as a player. head coach and as an assistant. She was at Louisiana Tech down in Ruston, and then won a championship, 3 of them at Baylor, and 1 of them now at LSU.
Yes.
Not a bad resume.
At Louisiana Tech for the great, and with the great Leon Barnella.
LSU attacking the basket. Now, I mentioned that NC State only committed 2 fouls in that first half. They're getting a lot more here by attacking.
They're not a team that typically fouls a lot, but right here, great job of execution after the timeout, clearing out the single side pick and roll and continuing to feed Samaya Smith. And she's been terrific this whole NCAA tournament.
Coming off that season-high 20 against Florida State, a game that was tight at the half. And then LSU absolutely took control in the third quarter where they outscored them 31-6. And we asked Kim how that happened. She said, I got my players back on the floor. They had some foul trouble. Sometimes it can be as simple as that.
It can be as simple as just availability.
Williams can't finish. Ball. As the officials look at each other. And behind the play, Lorena Owu is in pain, holding her head. Owu, a 6'5" freshman from East Moline, Illinois.
Can't really tell from that exactly what happened. Looks like she's favoring, though, that right leg.
Now in for NC State.
It was an awkward position, certainly, as she went for the loose ball. flau'jae Johnson there as well. Trieger comes back in. Brittany Blunt is the head athletic trainer for the Wolfpack. I'm sure Holly will get us an update as soon as we can. Brooks, nope. Williams coming out with it. Williams guarded by Cox, and she missed everything. Gets the Kim Mulkey stare as a result. And Owu goes back into the NC State locker room.
I think this is going to be the growth of Michaela Williams, recognizing who's defending you. So you have a bigger player on you. That pull-up might not be there, but if you hesitate just a little bit, then you can blow by.
Yeah. Again, Cox does not play a whole lot. Out there with Trieger. Shot clock at 8, going in to Trieger with the miss. LSU outscoring State 18-8 in this quarter. Under 3 minutes to go in the third.
Nice.
Jones, who had 11 points in the first half, came up with the rebound, and now here's a foul on the Tigers. It is a couple now on Cheyenne Day Wilson, playing her first year in LSU purple. Zia James back in the game. There she is with the ball. Rivers hits it. That's a 3.
And again, I think NC State is at their best when they do the dribble punch, right? You can attack, either get all the way to the rim, but as soon as you draw that help, now you get your teammates catch and shoot opportunities. They're so good in those situations.
Johnson cut off by Trieger. Smith with the rare miss, and Rivers trying to rip it away from Morrow, the best rebounder in the country. The alternating possession makes it NC State basketball. NC State now, with 4 of their 5 starters out on the floor. Jones with the ball, the exception. Brooks got a good look, but it was well short. Hunted down by Day Wilson. Wilson getting a lot of time at the point in this quarter. Another foul. That's the 3rd on Isaiah James.
Well, Isaiah James trying to get over the top of that screen and just bumps Michaela Williams. If they're going to keep her from using it, keep her from going to the right, you got to be up a little higher earlier. And that was an overloaded situation, so you could almost give a little bit more. But give credit to LSU right now because, again, this is not a team in NC State that fouls a lot. They only average 12 fouls a ball game, but they are continuing to attack them, putting them in situations where they're under duress, where they're in rotation.
Williams goes 1 out of 2 at the line to get the lead back up to 4. Trigger won, but that's a very overly ambitious pass.
Yeah,
I would say.
that's a tough catch for Trigger. I mean, she's your catch and shoot player, and you get her off the move. No, that makes it a really tough catch for her. And you can't afford empty possessions because NC State doesn't generate a lot of extra ones. They're not great on the offensive glass. They don't turn teams over. They've got to be efficient with every possession that they have.
LSU up by 4, but they have not had a field goal now in over 3 minutes. Trigger gets it back over to Rivers. Smith very aggressive with Trigger out on the perimeter, and there's another long-range shot by Rivers that doesn't go down.
That's exactly what LSU wants. They want Sanaya Rivers taking those off-the-bounce contested threes. And where she can impact her team is attacking the rim, going one-on-one, breaking down defense. It's natural.
Rivers just missed 3 of her 4 3 attempts. Morrow unstoppable. 24 for number 24. And 12 rebounds. And we still have a quarter to play. Shot clock is off now for State. And foul call as Rivers tried to slice in between Johnson and Williams. That's the 2nd on Johnson. flau'jae Johnson, 1 for 8 from the floor, just 2 points.
She's really struggled to get herself going offensively, but again, she creates some things for her teammates. So not getting frustrated, staying true to the principles, because all the white jerseys are going to be aware of where she is when she attacks the paint. So now she can facilitate, get herself involved and into a flow in that way.
She does have 4 assists in the game. Madison Hayes comes in for Jones. Rivers to Trigger. Brooks, they need a shot. It's got to be Rivers, and she got hit in the face. Holding on to her face, and the whistle blew.
Wilson, 3rd personal.
And that is 3 on Day Wilson.
NC State is in the bonus.
Yeah, it's tough to tell from that angle. It looks like Day Wilson had her arm across the front of Sanaya Rivers, but it's tough to tell. NC State fortunate right there.
Day Wilson giving her explanation to one of the officials. Rivers gets them both. NC State outscored by 8 in that quarter. They trail as we head to the 4th. When we come back, Holly Rowe with Westmore. Welcome back to Spokane as we're about to go into the fourth quarter. LSU up by 4. Tonight's coaches interview brought to you by Symetra. Here's Holly with Westmore.
Coach Moore, you took a lot of momentum to the locker room at halftime. What has to change in the fourth to get that back?
Morrow, she's killing us. We're trying man, zone. We're trying to get in front of her, try to double her. She's just by herself wheeling them. So we got to find a way to slow her down some. That'd be the biggest thing. And then try to flip the fouls a little bit.
Offensively, what do you want to see as a flow for your team?
Yeah, we just got to be aggressive and attack them off the bounce. And, again, make sure we're executing, set the pick, use the pick, and try to get downhill and put them in a tough position.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Holly.
NC State, who got all the way to the Final Four last year, trying to make it into the Elite 8. 10 minutes to go in Spokane. Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe with you. UCLA and Ole Miss will be coming up after this one as the Spokane Regional gets underway. And Coach Moore was saying a lot, but you were saying, attack with the guards, and they've been taking a lot of jump shots.
Yeah, and they don't have to settle for those jump shots off the bounce behind screens. I think you can attack. LSU is playing in the gaps. They're committing to stopping the drive. Then you can make that spray pass and you can get an open catch and shoot opportunity. But also his point about Anissa Morrow. The perimeter players, the guards for NC State, are not helping the interior post presence on the defensive end. They've got to have more ball pressure. They've got to force LSU to catch the ball a little bit further out beyond the three-point line and make it more difficult to make the entry pass.
It's very difficult to try to defend against Morrow, who got yet another double-double, her 30th of the season, and had 11 points in that third quarter. NC State only scored 13 as a team. Winner gets the winner of UCLA Ole Miss. Morrow with another rebound. Put it on the deck. Good defense that time by Rivers, who comes away with it. And then Madison Hayes, who had a couple of threes early, misses.
But those are the looks.
Yeah.
The ones where you're attacking the paint, you're drawing a little bit of help, you're getting an open look. But NC State has to be committed on the other end to making contact with Anissa Morrow. She is just getting whatever she wants on the offensive glass.
State 8 for 24 from 3.
Whoa. I don't like that call.
Westmore agrees with you.
I mean, we obviously get the benefit of the replay, but I thought Madison Hayes was there, and Day Wilson just ran right into her. Just because a player falls does not mean it is a foul.
Madison Hayes picks up her third. James got her hand into the passing lane. She runs the floor very well and finishes it. Zaya James, the last couple of years, has been magical in the NCAA tournament for State. 12 so far in this game, 12 points. flau'jae will get some free throws.
Oh, good job right here of Zaya James getting a deflection. Leads to the steal and one of the few easy buckets they've been able to get in transition. And Pam, flau'jae Johnson's been quiet throughout the course of this game. In the fourth quarter, you're going to look for her to try to take over a little bit. Great job of clearing it out in ISO for her to go to work.
That was the fourth foul on Madison Hayes, who stays in the game. flau'jae Johnson had 4 straight 20-point games in the NCAA tournament until she was held to 13 in their win in the last round against Florida State. 1 out of 2 on that trip. Tonight she's got 3 points, just 1 of 8 from the floor. And it's a 3-point ball game. Looks a little hesitation and gets it to roll. Cuts the lead to 1. More contact. That's a charge. Drawn by Maddie Cox.
Maddie Cox has been really big in this ball game. I mean, she has made winning plays. There are a lot of games where she has not gotten off the bench, where she has played very little minutes, but she has stayed ready and been impactful in this matchup. Great job of getting herself in position, of taking the contact.
There's a good look at Cox. Very athletic family. Lauren Cox, who was very good for Baylor, her older sister. Baylor, the team that Ole Miss beat to get here, the Sweet 16, and there she is again.
And how about Zoe Brooks keeping that alive, tipping it to Cox.
NC State with the lead. So you go to Morrow, when in doubt, but she missed. Brooks attacks and got a block from behind, but the ball will stay with the Pack. Johnson with the block.
Yeah, that's a good play, just coming from behind. flau'jae Johnson using that length.
James gets it over to Brooks, who put up a teardrop over Smith. It's a 6-0 State run. Kaylin Gilbert. Nope. With Morrow.
Yeah, Sanaya Rivers is getting caught in the physicality battle down there. She's trying to out-jump Morrow, and Morrow's just moving her out of the way.
Back-to-back 26-point games in the tournament for Morrow. Sam Jones, who gave them such a lift in the first half with the miss. Cox with another rebound. Brooks, yes, and the foul! Zoe Brooks.
Well, Pam, we've seen this throughout the course of the season, the ability of Zoe Brooks to take over games and take over moments. Her body control is so good. She has a great change of speed. She uses that body to shield the defender, and the emotion from Zoe Brooks.
Third foul on Morrow. Let's go over to Holly.
Well, Zoe Brooks was the most improved in the ACC, and Wes Moore says she gets overlooked. There are stretches that she has carried this team, carried us this season. Her decision-making, she has been unbelievable, and you're seeing how she can carry this team at times.
Well, she had that career-high 33 against Notre Dame in that double overtime game, 14 of 14 from the free throw line as well.
Rivers with the block. Jones, foul. NC State coming alive here in the fourth quarter. Gilbert picks up her first foul.
Well, we've seen each team own quarters, right? LSU in the first quarter, NC State in the second, LSU in the third. NC State making this run right now, doing a much better job on the defensive end and pushing tempo and attacking.
Getting to the free throw line. Tomorrow's Sweet 16 matchup start on ABC with Notre Dame taking on TCU, a team that beat them earlier in the season. Then it's Tennessee, Texas, and on ESPN, Oklahoma, UConn, and Kansas State, USC. It's going to be a great Saturday of Sweet 16 basketball. The earlier games in Birmingham, the later ones here in Spokane and Eastern Washington. 5-point advantage for State. No shot. We have a moving screen. Sanaya Smith's third.
And that was really good by NC State because they switched the diagonal screen, so Zoe Brooks was on Anissa Morrow. She did a good enough job for 2 seconds to front Morrow. So then they went away from it, right? Went away from it, and Isaiah James running right into that screen.
It just takes a couple of seconds, right?
And then they'll move on.
10-2 run for State. Jones. Looks a little bit too strong. Cox couldn't get to that rebound. Anissa Morrow with yet another rebound and bucket.
LSU. Timeout on the floor.
Timeout on the floor with State leading by 3. We have another game coming up. It's Lauren Betts, one of the best in the country, an All-American in UCLA, the #1 overall seed, taking on Ole Miss. That's coming up next on ESPN. But first, let's take a look at today's game track, brought to you by Invesco QQQ. And you mentioned it's been a seesaw battle here with the quarters.
Yeah, it really has. And now the last 5.5 minutes of this quarter, it's going to be about the will to win, execution, taking care of the basketball, and at the end of the day, rebounding.
Rebounding right now, it's +9 for LSU, in large part because of Morrow. Rivers can't get the reverse to go. Morrow with 28 points, 16 rebounds, 9 of them offensive.
There has to be a commitment to putting the body on her. Look, she is pursuing with multiple levels of effort. Zoe Brooks, great hustle.
Speaking of effort, Brooks and Johnson, and both of them are shaken up. As Brooks got clipped from behind by Johnson, who picked up her 3rd foul. Might have gotten the worst of the contact. Zoe Brooks lost a shoe.
I mean, good hands by Zoe Brooks, and both of them just pursuing the ball. It's tripped up. It looks like maybe the heel of Zoe Brooks hits flau'jae Johnson.
Kim Mulkey out to check on flau'jae, who only has 3 points tonight, has missed 7 of her 8 shots. Does have 5 rebounds and 4 assists as she bounces up. Kim shut her down for 3 games late in the SEC season.
On the floor is a foul on the Tigers for flau'jae Johnson. 3rd personal.
And you see Johnson showing her frustration.
NC State is in the bonus. Number 16, Caleb Gilbert, now in for the Tigers.
So NC State in the bonus. Brooks at the free throw line, where she is only 2 for 5.
In all games, but in close games in particular, those free throws matter. NC State as a team only shoots at 68% from the free throw line on the year.
And we saw earlier today Duke and North Carolina, a lot of missed free throws in that game.
Yes.
Duke going to the Elite 8 for the first time since 2013 in a very low scoring game. Day Wilson inside to the unstoppable Anissa Morrow. Basically, right, she gets the ball there and it's over.
She just keeps working. She works for her position.
LSU only down 2, one of their stars, flau'jae Johnson, having a tough night, but they're still in this game. Let's take a look at tonight's Capital One rewarding performance, and what a performance by Anissa Morrow.
Yeah, she's been terrific, and we knew that this was going to be a tough matchup for NC State. You know, her multiple levels of effort, her motor, she keeps working. She does a great job of staying under control. She works for position. She understands where she is in regards to the rim.
Her 30th double-double of the season, by far leads the country in that department. Her second 30-point game this season. She has 14 in her brilliant career and 3 40-point games. But right now, the most important number is 2. That is the lead for NC State. Winner gets the winner of Ole Miss, UCLA. Maddie Cox! Maybe the most unlikely hero doing great things.
Hey, but what an example for staying ready. staying ready throughout the course of the season. I'm sure she's been frustrated with her lack of playing time, but in this big moment, she's been huge for the Wolfpack.
And then Michaela Williams gets into double figures with that answer. Maddie Cox 2 for 2 from 3 tonight. She was 2 for 18 from distance coming in. Needing her. This is a guard-oriented NC State team. Brooks short. Williams slices in for another bucket.
It puts an awful lot of pressure on your perimeter players, on your guards, when you are guarding one-on-one in a side pick and roll. There's no help coming. There's no rotation.
1-point lead. Rivers over Williams. Another jumper. That misses, and now LSU can take the lead. Williams thought about it, pulled the trigger, and it was short. And Kim Mulkey is upset with that shot.
Well, I think both ends. It's quick shots. You can get those shots at any point in an offensive possession. Really make the defense work.
Brooks saw a little bit of daylight, drove on Gilbert, and got the friendly bounce.
That's a heck of a shot by Zoe Brooks. That's a tough angle.
Gets the lead back to 3 as we approach 2.5 to go. Williams open and buries it.
NC State has tried to shoot the gap on that double screen all night long. LSU has not been able to take advantage, but Michaela Williams does right there.
Some big baskets here in the 4th. Brooks goes into the lane and another one. Zoe Brooks gets it back to 3. Williams inside to Smith. As LSU continues to answer, flau'jae is going to come back in at the next whistle. Brooks just slapped away by Kaylin Gilbert. Gilbert with the ball, it's 3-on-2. Smith says, hold up. And Gilbert does just that.
Well, great communication by Samaya Smith. Time and score. Just a big offensive possession for LSU. You want to make sure you get exactly what you want.
Williams has had the hot hand. And this time she drives and puts the Tigers back on top.
Again, you're getting no help at the point of the screen. Michaela Williams has had her way these last few possessions in the on ball.
Williams has scored 8 of LSU's last 10 points. Brooks continues to just take the Wolfpack shots, and now Smith is fouled by Brooks with just under 45 seconds to go.
Those are 2 big defensive plays. 2 huge defensive plays by LSU.
Right, let's go over to Holly Rowe.
Well, flau'jae Johnson took a real scrape to the eye. They've 3 different times put drops in that right eye. You can see it has started to swell. I saw her just go over to the athletic trainer and say, don't you just have some tape? I can tape my eye open. The trainer just looked at her and said, no. So she has been trying to get back in. I think she can, but with 44 seconds left, it's going to be tough right now.
Yeah, blinking is a very important thing. Johnson just wants to go back in there. It's like a cut man in the corner of a boxing match, trying to get her back in. So important to this team, and frustrating shooting-wise for flau'jae.
But the good thing about LSU, they had those 3 games that they played without flau'jae, so they've had to learn how to do that. Those big defensive possessions, the one by Samaya Smith, but the time before by Caitlin Gilbert, to get that block, those were big-time plays by the LSU defense.
And a big-time game for Smith. 18 points. Make it 20, or make it 19, pardon me. She had 20 in their last game against Florida State. State takes a timeout. It's LSU's defense, as you mentioned, Steph, has been really good.
I mean, Zoe Brooks was starting to cook, and she had an opportunity with a 1-point lead right here to get to the rim. And watch this play by Caitlin Gilbert, and then the extra effort by Cheyenne Day-Wilson, and then the second block by Smith to be able to get out in transition after that. Those are two huge plays. And yes, Michaela Williams has not played up to her potential for most of this ball game, but boy, she's taken over in the fourth.
Yeah, she's been brilliant here in the fourth quarter for LSU. Just in the fourth quarter alone, Williams with 8 points, 4 of 6 from the floor, as they have gone from a deficit to being up by 3. Zoe Brooks with 11 in the fourth quarter. Another brilliant game for Morrow. 4 ties and lead changes in this game. And we expected this to be a good one, and it has been.
Yeah, we sure did. And right now, you're talking about execution. You know, time and score right here. You've got plenty of time, but you want to make sure you get a good shot, exactly what you want on the offensive end.
LSU on a 6-0 run to go from 3 down to up 3. And yes, coming up, we will have Ole Miss and UCLA. Looking forward to that one. For the #1 overall seed, the Bruins.
And Pam, it has been heavy Zoe Brooks for NC State. Only 2 points by Jaya James in this second half. Nothing from Madison Hayes, who's been in foul trouble for much of the game.
And Maddie Hayes picked up a couple of quick ones. And normally one of the spark plugs on this team. Great rebounder, good 3-point shooter. Hayes with just 8 points. None of them here in the second half.
Well, and both of these teams have been in clutch games, and if you remember the NC State Notre Dame double overtime game, big time shot making at critical moments.
All right, so you're Westmore. What do you do?
Well, I think you got to get something going to the rim. You've got to put LSU under a little bit of duress. You don't have to settle for anything. There's plenty of time. You're in the penalty, so you look to attack the rim and force a collapse, find an open shooter.
James inbounds. And there's Hayes, who we just talked about. Maddie Cox has hit a couple of threes. A little bit of trouble out there, and Coach Moore recognized it and took a timeout.
Yeah, he didn't like what he saw right there. He has plenty of timeouts, so he wants to make sure they get the exact look that he wants.
There to take a look at the reset. Zoe Brooks doing some scoring in this quarter.
Yeah, she's done a great job of getting to the rim. I mean, she has been the lone NC State Wolfpack player who's been able to put her head down and just make a play at the basket. And so certainly the opportunity to put the ball in her hands. I think Isaiah James is a big shot maker. She's been quiet in this second half as well. But the thing you don't want to do if you're NC State, you don't want to settle, right? You want to make sure that you're giving yourself an opportunity to put LSU in a situation where they have to defend multiple actions, where they've got to force a rotation, and you get the shot that you want. You can slow down, set your screens, make sure you're disciplined in execution.
Zoe Brooks with 11 points in the fourth quarter. 22 seconds on the shot clock. State down 3. James temporarily lost it. Cox, another 3, and that one goes off the rim, and Kim Mulkey calls a timeout.
Great defensive stand by LSU again. Cheyenne Day-Wilson was caught on that screen. The pass was a little bit late, so she had time to get back and really got into the body of Isaiah James. The physicality, the disruptive defensive effort by LSU was just terrific. Look, the pass is right there. See how late? It's a one dribble too late that allows Day-Wilson to get into the body of Isaiah James. Great pressure right here. NC State running offense way out beyond the three-point line. And then Cox settling for that 3.
Yeah, there was still about 11 seconds left on the shot clock when Cox took the shot. So now LSU with the ball. Possession arrow in favor of NC State. Go for the steal.
And well, yes, and you see NC State has 1 foul to give. Yep. So you're going to be able to go for the steal or take a foul. LSU, you've got a timeout. So if you can't get the ball in bounds, you've got to use your timeout.
This is a 6-0 LSU run. We've had alternating 6-0 runs in the last minute or so. And that is thrown out of bounds. The Tigers threw it away.
And LSU going for an offensive and defensive substitution right here, bringing Miracle Shepherd back in. It's absolutely what you did not want if you're LSU. You know you've got a timeout.
flau'jae Johnson is, pardon me, still unable to come back into the game.
And now NC State with 2 timeouts. Does Westmore, this is a veteran group. Okay, they've been through this before. Do they know what they're going to run? Can they execute it right now? Does he feel good about it?
NC State in the bonus. Brooks. Guarded by Shepherd, and an offensive foul! NC State gives it right back
Offensive foul, Wolfpack's 11, Randy Cox.
on the moving screen by Cox.
Well, you've got to give Cheyenne Day Wilson credit right there. I mean, the effort to get through it. And Isaiah James goes just a little bit too soon. Cox isn't quite out there. It's the right call.
Violet Palmer is our rules analyst. How did you see that?
Well, I would say that that is a correct call. The screen she was late because of time and distance, and she was too wide. That's when she pops her with the knee. Officials are correct call.
All right, and you saw there that Cox did move a little bit more to her left. And Cox has given NC State some great minutes,
Now,
but
well, the timing was just off.
Yeah.
I mean, Cox wasn't out there already. Isaiah James started to go, and Day Wilson didn't hesitate. She ran through. She created that contact.
Isaiah James and the rest of the seniors on this team have had quite a run.
Yeah, and certainly some missed opportunities right down the stretch right here. And again, now if you're LSU, you don't have any timeouts. So you got to get the ball in bounds. You know, or you take a 5 seconds so it's a dead ball and not a live ball turnover. But if you're NC State, you know, you've got to be disruptive. You've got to try to get a steal, and then you've got to foul.
So both teams in the bonus right now. Back-to-back turnovers. LSU threw the ball away, and then NC State with the offensive foul to give it right back to the Tigers. Just 17.5 seconds left to go. Cheyenne Day Wilson will inbound the basketball. Kayla Williams working on James, who fouls her. And that will send Williams to the line.
Fourth personal.
Kayla just 1 of 3 from the free throw line as James picks up her 4th. Huge free throws to make it a 2-possession game. Gilbert goes out. Shepherd back in for the Tigers.
2 shots.
Westmore has 2 timeouts right here, so talking to his team about if they're going to use it to advance, which I would anticipate that they would.
Clutch. An 8-0 run. State was up by 3 with 2 minutes to go. But the Tigers have taken over, now up by 5.
30-second timeout.
Look, certainly if you're NC State, it's a 2-possession game. You just got to get a quick score. So you're in the penalty again. I think you continue to look to attack the rim. No, I don't think they have a direct post entry. I don't think they have that kind of team. So you get it to a ball handler and you look to attack. Now, certainly if you get a rotation, maybe you can get a spray for a three, but it's a two-possession game. You got to get a quick score and a foul. LSU has no timeouts. So quick score, turn it around, face guard, try to make it difficult. If you can't get a steal out of the inbound, then you got a foul.
Kim Mulkey trying to get her team to the Elite Eight for the third straight year. Zoe Brooks inbounds with just under 15 seconds left to go. It's got Miracle Shepherd up to defend. Three-point attempt. James, no. Rebound by Smith, who's fouled right away. And the LSU fans are feeling it. We talked about the big three today, and flau'jae Johnson struggling offensively. Samaya Smith joining Morrow and Williams. That trio has scored 68 of LSU's 78 points.
Well, Samaya Smith has been outstanding in this NCAA tournament. Scoring double figures in every ball game. Really got them started, has made some big plays. And we expected it to be a different big three, but the interior presence and that post tandem has been dominant.
And with that free throw, Smith has tied her career high in scoring. And more importantly for LSU, giving them that 7-point cushion.
And Michaela Williams, who had been quiet for most of the ball game, came alive in that fourth quarter. She had 10 points in that fourth quarter. She went to work in the pick and roll action. Did a great job of just taking over for LSU.
Meanwhile, for NC State, Zoe Brooks leading the way with 21 points. Isaiah James with 12. Madison Hayes in foul trouble with just 8. And time is not on their side. LSU beat them in the Bahamas around Thanksgiving, 82-65. Kim Mulkey thought it would be a much different story tonight. It certainly has been.
Now, both teams looking different than they did in November, certainly, but LSU, the toughness, the way they locked up the last 5 minutes of this fourth quarter.
No fouls necessary for LSU, and fittingly, Anissa Morrow, the best rebounder in the country, comes up with the final miss, and for the third straight year, the Tigers roll into the Elite Eight.
What a terrific effort by LSU. Both ends of the floor, it wasn't always pretty. You knew that Anissa Morrow was going to be a challenge for NC State, and she carried this team for most of the game, but Samaya Smith and Michaela Williams down the stretch were outstanding.
30 points, 19 rebounds for Morrow. LSU finished the game on a 10-0 run.
I mean, they locked in that last 5 minutes of the ball game, but particularly those last few possessions and defensively just continued to make stop after stop.
So LSU awaits the winner of UCLA and Ole Miss. That's coming up about a half hour's time from now. About a half hour from now. And Sanaya Rivers, who started her career at South Carolina, won a national championship with that team. With Isaiah James, Rivers, Madison Hayes playing their last game in an NC State uniform. Maddie Cox with great effort off the bench, but just too much Tiger at the end. And you see the disappointment. Sam Jones, great earlier on. She'll be back. And Isaiah James, who stuck it out, did not transfer, went from a bench player to a star, to an All-American.
She sure did, and this team, they talked about how much they love each other and how much they pulled for each other, but too much LSU.
Anissa Morrow, another amazing game. Here she is with Holly.
Anissa, an epic game for you, 30 points, 19 rebounds. They threw literally every single look, person, defense at you. How did you continue to rise?
That's what I do every night, and I know my teammates are going to depend on me, and I got to have their back, and I got to show up every night. I know that they might throw 3, 4 people at me, but I got to be able to compete and be able to be dominant.
You had an impactful huddle late in this game. They were on a run, playing well, and you said, we have got to start defending for 30 seconds on the shot clock. It changed the game. How have you been a leader in the huddle?
Yeah, I told you that I've been working on being more verbal with my teammates. I know that I lead them physically, but I have to lead them verbally as well, and when you could do that, you're one of the ultimate leaders.
Your voice mattered in that moment. You guys had some other great players step up tonight. Samaya, she was terrific. Michaela down the stretch. How is this team creating some balance and chemistry right now?
Coach said with Samaya, I'm extremely proud of her. This is what she's been working for all year, and you get to see the confidence. We worked hard for 2 weeks, me and her with the bigs. We worked, and you get to see that confidence on the floor. You get to see it with KG. KG come in and make big buckets. It's just the confidence that they continue to work every day.
Elite 8, second straight year. What do you think that sounds like?
It's damn good to me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
KG she was referencing was Kaylin Gilbert, but Anissa Morrow certainly amazing tonight as they will take on the winner of Ole Miss and UCLA. That is coming up next, but first, let's go to the NCAA Championship in the studio presented by AT&T.